What's good, family? My name is Houston Haynes, aka the Nomad, and I want to know, how do you do fitness? I'm here today in Arizona, and we're going to be working out with my guy BT, and we're going to see how to kettlebell. This guy's a specialist. He's going to show me how to really get down. Follow me to see what's up. If you're watching this, get a notepad out and learn something today, okay? Not playing. You, yes, you. Get one. Okay.
Pull up in motorcades. I got a show today. It's all I'm trying to do. Hustle and motivate.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Chilling.
Good to see you, man. Glad you made it out to the valley.
Thank you, thank you. Like I said, I'm here with my man BT. BT, let us know what we got today.
So I'm BT. I am the owner of Wild Love Wellbeing. Today we're going to do a lot of core activation, a lot of stability, a lot of tempo, and a lot of strength. So look forward to a nice hard workout here. All right, so
There's a reason why I call this man the professor. My guy BT is such a technician. He took me through a series of kettlebell exercises, not only showing me how to properly move, but explaining each exercise in a way that breaks down every piece, allowing me to conceptualize connecting mindfulness to movement. Here's a snippet of some of the exercises we went through. To get a better breakdown of what we did and see the various movements that we went over, check out the full workout video on the link below. I'm telling you, this is something that you need, especially if you're a trainer. Check this man out. He really got it.
perfect. Great job. Woo! So moving forward with these exercises, we're going to use the kettlebell as a medium of resistance. I always say that if you have one kettlebell, you have an entire gym. Thrust, driving himself up. Pushing those hips back all the way as deep as you can. Hold and press up. Extended, he's not locking his knees, right? Meaning that it's all muscle contraction. That front heel is taking all that tension, driving all the way up and coming nice and down. So a nice complex movement that we can do so we can focus primarily on the lower body.
Like I said, my guy really knows his stuff. After the workout, I sat down to interview BT at the Breakfast Club in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's truly one of my favorite places to grab a cheat meal. Why? Because they got that Churro waffle with the ice cream topped on it. Let me tell you, that thing's something crazy. If you get a chance, check that thing out. It's gonna have your taste buds jumping. Here at the Breakfast Club in Scottsdale, Arizona. Home of this man. I don't know if y'all can see that. This thing here is elite. With my man BT. He calls himself the magician. I call him the professor because he knows a bunch of stuff. But for real, if you're watching this, get a notepad out and learn something today. Okay? Not playing. You. Yes, you. Get one. Okay.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
Yeah, but so yeah, BT, you can introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us about, you.
Right on.
Who's BT?
Who is BT? Well, my name is bthomasbullock, aka Coach BT. I am a fitness trainer and I'm the owner of Wild Love Wellbeing LLC. It is a holistic health company with services on mental skills training as well as nutrition and health and fitness. I've been in the health and wellness industry for about 8 years on and off now. I've studied at Western University in sport exercise psychology. I've done nutrition work and worked under dietitians for the United States Army for 6 years. Also done a lot of coaching, master functional trainer, kettlebell coach, kind of dibble and dabble into everything that kind of helps the general population as well as elite athletes. So,
and he lived in the woods.
Yes. I lived in the woods, the Sierra Nevada mountain range for several years. So that's a little wild. Hence the wild love, as you know.
That's it. So, how'd you end up getting into fitness and everything?
Man, I'd have to say my mom was a big advocate. So my mom was a Vietnam vet, served in the Army, played volleyball and softball for the Army overseas.
Damn.
So physical activity, exercise, being outside was always like very, very big in my household. So it was do your chores, go outside, get dirty, clean up, and street lights come on, you're in trouble. So I spent a lot of time just being active, right? Just in the community with all the kids and stuff outside. I'm a 90s kid, so we hit the parks, we made up games. So also played hockey for years, so it just kind of like really built upon from that.
That's first of all, hockey. We already talked about this earlier.
Yes,
that doesn't make sense to me. I went ice skating for the first time. The fact that people play an actual sport that's not just ice skating is insane. I used to be like, I don't get hockey. It's stupid. Like, while they're out there skating and stuff. Until you skate,
you gotta slice some ice. Yeah, it takes a lot of balance. I started off playing roller. My mom was a big bowler, so you always have that bowling alley, arcade, and the rink would be close by. So my godmom would take me and go skating, and I just wanted to be fast because it was like, oh, experienced skaters, backward skaters only, right? I never wanted to come off the rink,
right?
So I just taught myself, and then my mom found out that I was like getting really good, and she was like, well, what's next? And they're like, well, you can play hockey. So then after roller, then I switched over to ice for a little bit, and single parent household got a little expensive, but loved the, just the experience and the cultural shock too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we were driving an hour and a half just to hit the rink with a bunch of people that don't look like me. So it's different, my mom, was a little bit older, so she had no experience with hockey as well, so we were learning and growing together and fighting those challenges, so it was really amazing. I remember my first competition, like to make the traveling team, and I come up on the ring, and a lot of the coaches don't know you, right? Because you're going to be pretty much drafted after you do the practice and the tryouts. So they're like, hey, you want to line up with the goalies? Now, I'm a seasoned left wing already, but some of these guys don't know me, and I skated over to my mom. I'm like, they told me to line up with the goalies. I'm not sure. I'm looking for my coaches that I paid for like intramural leagues. And my mom got it, right? My mom understood that they didn't think that I could play.
Right.
So nobody wants to get scored on, right? Nobody wants to be a goalie, especially when you're young. You don't specialize yet.
Right.
She grabbed my cage and was like, if you don't house skate everybody on this ring, we got problems. I dusted everybody. So I made the second line of varsity team that day. So it was big. So my mom, not knowing really like what to tell me in a skill set, still gave me what I needed.
But at the end of the day, with any sport, if you lack skill, you can make up for it. And even, and not saying that you lack skill in the sense, but like you make up for it in effort. So like if I can't coach you on what to do, like I can tell you to go as hard as you can, and that's gonna pay off at the end of the day.
Hard work beats talent every time. Every time.
Real quick, I need you guys to try this.
I'm afraid. Can I afford it? Okay.
Just one bite.
All right.
You too, man.
You know I'm not gonna say no to that.
Oh, this is serious.
Yeah.
I got it, babe. Alright. You ready?
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Ready, babe? Oh, wow.
That tastes like churro.
A churro and ice cream.
That is good.
But then a waffle form.
That's
A new form of free workout. My heart is going. I'm hitting the gym right now. Thank you so much.
Nuts. Yep. So, obviously, like you said, you're real versed in a lot of different things. I got introduced you to the Kettlebells, but you said that you do was it mindfulness or
mental skills
coaching? I want you to talk about that a little bit. Like, what does that entail, and like how'd you get into that?
So with being in the Army and being a nutritionist, I was also the NCOIC, so non-commissioned officer in charge of personal training. I was not even a non-commissioned officer, I was a specialist. So just being in that position to help my platoon, to help my company, but not having the NCO, so you have to be a sergeant, right? And as a specialist, they saw a lot of leadership qualities in me and they said, take it on, like see what you can do. But they didn't tell me that I would be telling people who outranked me what to do. So I kind of bit a little bit more than I can chew, but you know, they threw me in there and I had a lot of success. After leaving active duty, I went to the Green to Gold program, and that's when I went to Western University. Western University at the time had the best undergraduate program for sport and exercise psychology. So for me, I always like, okay, I love the physical body and nature, but there's always so much you can do, right? There's a lot of limitations and there's other factors, right? So why not find out somebody's why or somebody's barrier mentally and tap into that and then focus on that physical. So I knew with the degree, you still have to do your phys, your biomechanics and things like that. But I really wanted to focus on that mental game because it's straight, right? We're talking about hard work. Well, how do we get to that hard work, right? How do we discipline the mind and set a structure to where we can formulate a plan? So this is beyond, or I should say before we even get to the physical matter. Right. So I believe that it is primary to focus on that. So for me, I really wanted to tinker and figure out like, okay, how am I going to implement that? Because I want to coach somebody, right? Because if I'm coaching you to a position or a sport, how do you identify with that sport? So what is your identity before I place that sport in with you? So it's for me, it's paramount to really tap in to that intrinsic motivation, that why, that identity, that discipline before we start to bring in external factors or objectives that you have. So.
That's huge. Actually, that's great that you say that because one of our slogans with the fam is "What's your why?" And like, so any time I get a new client, like we go over that, we go over it deep because any like journey that you do, if you don't have a strong enough, like deeper than the superficial, oh, I want to look good, or oh, I'm tired of living this way, but like it doesn't really carry too much weight, you're gonna stop at some point because at some point things are gonna get hard and there's gonna be nothing to remind you to keep going and to keep pushing on that journey. For the fam, our why is God and our love of God, and we feel like it's our mission to spread that love of God to any and every person through the work that we do. And so me personally, it's spreading that love to help better people and make them live a greater life than that they already do. And like, I'm so passionate about getting people to where I think they could be, as far as like, you know, tapping into their potential and stuff like that. Like that's what drives me to commit to them as well. And so
awesome.
Me personally, if I'm giving them that, like we want to know that for them as well, so that way we can give them that extra push or whatever, and they know why it is they're doing what they're doing. Because if you don't know, like you said, you're just setting yourself up for failure down the road.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's sustainable, right? You know, we talk about purpose and we talk about journey. These are all fitness journeys. Like, yes, you have goals throughout the journey, but you want to continue, right? Like, it's not a fad, right? We're not getting ready for spring break. We're not just getting ready for our summer body, right? We want to make sure that we are strengthening and enhancing ourselves. Like, that's true health. Like, I really love and that's why I chose Wild Love Well-Being, right? Yeah. Because it's more of a holistic term. Right? I'm really tapping into everything that makes you who you are, and to benefit that, to enhance that. So when you're doing that, like you said, like finding that purpose, finding that journey, tapping into that individual, and setting them to a course in their life that it's going to benefit everything that they touch, everything that they do, whether it's being a good person at their job or a good husband or, you know, just a better individual and serve. Like we talked about, you know, your faith and servitude is big, right? Right. So I really do my talents, you know, a little bit of knowledge that I do have, and I understand that I have a responsibility to serve. So it's not just about, you know, the coolest, sexiest exercises or the best filming equipment that you have. It's about what I can provide to that individual, to my clients, that they're always going to keep. I really want to touch the individual, you know, so that's awesome. Mental skills coaching, sports psychology, same thing.
So what is, when you're coaching somebody through that, like what are the type of things that you're focusing on with them and helping them push through, I guess?
So if I'm dealing with athletes, right, high school athletes, let's say if I'm dealing with a quarterback, right, he's a leader. He has a lot on his plate, right? Just being the quarterback, you have to know other people's positions, right? You have to know what is the speed of my receiver, when is he gonna break, what is the defensive end doing? I need my center to snap the ball. Did I call the right plays?
That's a lot going on.
That's a lot going on. And guess what? I got to get my drop back in. I got to get that ball to that defender, or I got to shuffle out of the pocket and be, mobile. So that's a lot of moving parts, right? But it all starts here. So we're firing off these neurons, we're taking these messages, but if we don't know how to compartmentalize and discipline the mind to do that, then it's going to be all traffic, right? And if it's all traffic, how do we make a clear play? So for me, it's really tapping in, bringing that back, and saying, what do we need to work on? So what to do is a lot of assessments, right? Not only just physically, but what's going on in school? How much support system do you have? Like how much time do you spend in the gym? What are your grades like? So if it's an athlete of that caliber, I really like to look at their schedule, right? What are they doing, and kind of like formulate a plan that's going to work for them to where they're not so bogged down and they're not so fried here, to where when they are practicing, when they are playing, they can perform at a high level.
Gotcha. Dang, that's dope. It's crazy, like, when you think about that, especially from an athlete perspective, and regards to like quarterback, all those different factors do heavily affect and can heavily affect the way that you play or the way you operate and do whatever it is that you do, if you don't know how to properly compartmentalize and be able to drop stuff here, drop stuff there, like that stuff kind of gets in the way. I know, like, for me, there are times where, like, I use fitness as kind of my, for a time it was sports, but then when I stopped playing sports, I use fitness as like your escape, your way to like break away from everything that's going on. It can be really therapeutic for you and and stuff like that. My question for you is like, so how do you get into, do you have any like yoga practices or like meditation that you do or anything like that to get your mind ready to start your day or anything like that? Like, what do you do to like, kind of center yourself?
So my day started at 4 a.m. I spend a lot of time in quiet. I don't really turn on a lot of lights. Try not to check the phone. I try to put it aside after I get to check the alarm. Making sure there's no emergencies, right? People hit me up like overnight. Everybody's good. Set the phone down. I'll get my tea. I'll have about 32 ounces of water before, kind of get rehydrated from that rest, from that dormant stage. And I just try to map out what the focus is of the day. Can't really worry about tomorrow, right? About yesterday. So can't really do anything about tomorrow because it's not here yet. So basically I'm just like, okay, I got my clients, I know what I want to do. What's the mantra for the day, right? Like, what is my focus? What have I been struggling with? What have I been telling myself? What's my self-talk like? Kind of just tapping in and hitting that refresh button. Making sure that, like, if it's a long-term goal, I'm on par with that. If it's something that I saw yesterday that I want to make some type of adjustments to, I'll go over my programming and just slow everything down. I think sometimes we wake up and we're like, all right, I got to get the clothes on, I got to get this, got to this. We become human doers, right? We're so busy on the task-oriented self that we're not worried about like our essence, right? Our spirit, like our mental game. Like, where can we really perform the best? Where can we really be calm in nature to where we're addressing things the way we want to? And sometimes we can let the task work us, and we're not working with tasks.
Absolutely. So, no, that's huge. That's actually something that's been a focus of mine personally over the past year, really since quarantine has started with me, because I've always been somebody who kind of like gets up and goes and like just does everything, and so it's been really hard for me to be present in every moment. I got a lot of like different ideas, things going on top and stuff like that. So like, I've really been, especially more so the last probably like 2 months, focusing on, being present in the moment, and like you said, not worrying about yesterday. Today only happens if, tomorrow only happens if we make it to tomorrow, so you can't worry about that. It's like, what is it that I'm doing here? How can I get the best out of this current moment? And so I've been practicing, actually Ariana Elizabeth, subscribe to her on YouTube. She has great yoga and meditation videos. So when I get up in the morning,
I'm subscribing. I got you.
I do. So I watch one of her videos to meditate, kind of center myself, say my prayer. I've been reading this book. It's The Daily Reader for Leadership. So I'll read that, do my journal, and then I'll try to stretch a little bit, and then I'll end my nights with my boy Jay. We do either an ab circuit and then do some yoga and a meditation at the end. And I found my days when I'm like really consistent doing that, those days go so much smoother than any days when I just have to like wake up and do stuff. So I'm getting into the habit of like no matter what I'm doing, because like throughout the week I've been good, but it's been on the weekends where it's like I like to chill, but I'm getting into the habit of even on my chill days making sure I keep that morning routine, because I've seen the benefit of me like taking that time to center myself and relax and stuff like that. So
a lot of that is programming, right? Like just like you said, like you're seeing what is the best that works for you, that keeps you optimal, right? We do the same thing with training, right? We figure out the program that best serves that individual to get them to perform optimally and to reach their goals. So it's all that mental game. It all goes back, right? So that was perfect. That was awesome.
Awesome. Okay. I know I keep harping on this, but I need you to tell me a little bit of the experience when I was like living in the woods. What was your biggest what was your biggest takeaway? Okay. What you liked most and what you hated most about it?
Ooh, okay.
And yeah. Let's keep it simple.
Biggest.
This man, he's just like,
I was gonna say, don't get me started.
I lived in the woods for a bit. I was like, bro, what?
Joke.
My dog lived in the woods.
So yeah, I worked with this agricultural company. I was the foreman for a couple farms out there in the Sierra Nevada mountain range, and the biggest takeaway, right? So it's 8 months on, 4 months off. Once the snow comes in, you gotta go. Right? You can't be on the mountain living like that when the snow comes.
That's nuts.
So biggest takeaway are the heightened senses, because everything is so quiet. If I'm not chopping away at a tree, or if I'm not running a machine or anything, there's nothing happening.
Right.
You can hear a turkey hit a tree, hit a twig and snap. Like the wind blows. Like if it's a full moon, I never even use my headlamp. Like it's just lit up in the whole mountain range, and like
that's
just
crazy.
Just everything. Your sight, your smell, sense. You know, once I got like, you know, sometimes we have to go into San Francisco and other businesses, and then as soon as I hear a honking horn, I'm like, what's going on? You know, so that was the biggest thing for me. Is I was like, wow, when you slow everything down, you start to notice how much sensory overload, right? Like right now, like I can hear you, but so much is going on.
Right.
And we've kind of been like desensitized to it. Like we're so busy in the hustle and bustle, and then you hop into nature and it's off.
Right.
And then you're in your own head, which is a whole nother
That's what I was gonna add next, but yeah.
Yeah, it gets you know, me being so busy, like keeping my guys in check and like making sure all the operations are running, that was fun. But you know, there's sometimes a little downtime in farming. You know, it's not you don't have to be in there all the time, like, you know. So reading was big for me, just kind of like figuring out what I wanted to do. I just left the Army. I did not want to leave the Army. We could not come to an accord, unfortunately, with some paperwork, and it really kind of wrecked me, right? You know, I had my whole life plan, you know, like, you know, I knew I could handle it. Green to Gold program, I'll become an officer. I mean, I'm checking all the boxes. And when it didn't come to fruition, and then I'm in grad school, and I'm struggling to pay for grad school, and I'm just like, how did this happen? Like, why did this become so difficult? I'm running my way to my doctorate, and all of a sudden everything's like,
nope.
Numbers ain't looking right. I'm like, you know, what do I do? So yeah, it really helped me kind of nurture some of that pain, and even go into some, you know, trauma that I had, like some things that happened in my childhood. Like, you know, I know we all have our own story, but you know, being in a single parent household, not being able to see my dad as much, not really understanding why they weren't together and things like that. Like, you know, you get over it, but sometimes you got to get through it. Right. And I think I did a lot of getting over it and going around it, and, you know, accomplishing this and being a successful in this. You know, I just kept being a human doer again. And then it's gonna come back. You know, you can cover it up. You know, but
until you address it, like
until you address it. Yeah. So it definitely helped and benefited a lot. But sometimes you get a little cuckoo a little bit, you know what I mean? Like you're around these guys and you're all stir crazy, you're working 10, 12 hours, so excuse me, it was a lot. What I did not like about it, the gym was 40 minutes away. That's how the kettlebells came. So, you know, they're super versatile, but yeah, you know, I gotta wake up before my guys, right? So I have to be up and drive to the gym, the closest gym, and then I have to drive back before they even eat their chow. So that was tough, man. I mean, my days are just super long, but you know, I work for a great company. I have a lot of support. You know, you're gonna have clashes. You know, just guys and tools and you know woods and stuff like that. So, but yeah, no. Yeah, that was tough, and the thing I liked about it the most was that I really saw a side of myself. Like, I'm a concrete kid, man. I'm off the curb. So, you know, I had a lot of experience, you know, going into Michigan when I was younger from Chicago. I went to school at Western University, so the Appalachians. Thank you so much for making this concrete kid feel welcome, you know, in those mountains there and those rolling hills. But yeah, it really kind of spoke to me and my individuality. You know, sometimes it's hard to really be yourself. You know, you have these group dynamics where you're like, well, this is my person, I want to fit in, and these are my people, but like we still stand out. We're all very unique individuals. So I think it really helped me kind of shed that a little bit, like not need to be with so many people and doing so many things, and like really enjoying my individuality and just like being by myself, right? You know, you got people who like in relationships, whether it be romantic, business, like they need somebody to do this with, or they want somebody to do this with. Sometimes it's nice to just step out and do something for yourself, like you said. So yeah, so it was a great experience, but I survived. I mean, you know, so.
Man lived in the woods, fighting bears. Actually, true story. A black bear tried to attack him. He beat it up, and he ran away.
Close. No, seriously. So check this real quick. So we always tell the guys, hey, if you use any of the kitchenware and stuff like that, do not leave food out, right? So of course we got this guy waking up, you know, he's hungry, he's making all his food, leaves whatever, you know, meat that he had and he was making in the grill. So I have my camp on top so I can watch everybody and wake them up and, assess everything. All of a sudden it's like 3:30, it's super misty. Bang, 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 bang. I'm like, what? And I'm like, it's super cold, right? It's right before harvest season, so it's October, November. I unzip my tent and there's these two cubs like just swatting at each other for like this piece of meat. I'm like, okay. I don't really need to do anything here. It's not my meat.
Right.
You know? But anyway, long story short, it dawned on me. I'm like, cubs don't travel by themselves.
No.
So mama is close. So instead of waking up the crew or like going to get anything, I said, you know what? I'm gonna have a little faith. I sent that thing back up on the street. So yeah. So
that was the first thing that popped in my mind when you said two cubs. I'm like, oh damn.
Right? Mama ain't far.
That's nuts. And so let's get real quick into the fitness side real fast. The kettlebells, you said they came through during that time in the woods, right? Because you were looking for something that you can do to basically not need a lot of equipment but still be able to work out.
Exactly. So out of necessity, I found the kettlebell.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously I had dumbbells. I had a TRX suspension that I knocked into a nice little redwood and like got it going. You know, I ran the hills, but I just needed something that could target a lot more, be a little bit more core responsive, and not just be floor core, right? A lot of us always like core, abs, right? Oh yeah, crunches, and it's like, no, don't. Yeah. Don't sell yourself short, you know? So started studying the kettlebells and kind of seeing like, okay, like how can I implement programming, right? Like how can I train myself? Because the 40-minute drive was, you know, super hefty. So, and it's just like one swoop, right? I can get a quick workout in, maybe hit some laps. I have to get back to my crew. Right. So if it's downtime, like at lunch, I'm like, okay, I need something that's really gonna give me all that I have. And then somebody said kettlebell to me. I can't remember who said it, or I think somebody showed me somebody on Instagram that had a kettlebell, and it was about 5 years ago. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, it's on, right? I grab this kettlebell and I go crazy. I'm having so much fun, and I'm just like, this is the medium for me.
Yeah, that's huge. All right, cool. And as we're wrapping up, what is some advice you would give somebody who's just starting off on their fitness journey first?
On their fitness journey or their coaching?
Let's do both.
Oh, nice. More top. I can talk about this all day. I love it. I love what I do.
Y'all find this man on IG, all the socials, hit him up. He is the professor.
Thank you so much. I'm humble. Okay, so let's start with the exercise practitioner, right? The biggest thing is make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, right? And we've heard this time and time again, right? But at the same time, like, it's your health. So the biggest thing is finding out what you are really looking for. Who is really starting this engine, right? This journey. Because a lot of us are motivated by external factors, right? Very superficial things. And we can get a lot of benefit by doing that prep work, right? Making sure, like, okay, let's say that one day you wake up and you're like, I want to make that change, right? Don't overload yourself.
Right.
Just making that statement alone is the first step.
Yep.
Making the statement, seeing that you want to do the change, and you should feel like that is a brick that you laid in that foundation that you are going to build. Next day, lay another one.
Right.
So next day, be like, hey, after I eat dinner tonight, me and my wife are going to go for a walk around the park. We're going to get those metabolic processes going. We're going to move around. We're going to have conversations. So now it's just not about physicality and exercise and muscle groups. Now you're building a better relationship with your partner. You know, you're building a better relationship with, you know, anything or anybody that you have in your life, because you're enhancing yourself. So everything that you touch will be enhanced by you. So, you know, don't really get caught up in the Instagrams and, like, you know, if you see a guy doing a burpee, backflip, tire, and this and that, it's not functional. Like, you know, he's an extreme athlete, he or she is an extreme athlete and doing their thing, but that's not for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, let's dial it back and, you know, let's go step by step. Like, I struggle so much. Like, I wish people knew. Sometimes I'm just like, really? Like, I need to get it together.
Yeah.
You know, and I have some people like, do you know, sit down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, we're on different planets here.
Right.
You know? So sometimes we gotta dial it back and just be loving to ourselves and understand that, like, it takes time, right? If you were sitting there and were depressed or going through whatever situation or just had some inactive thing going on in your life, you didn't have really any emotion, right? And that first day and that next day, it can snowball. It can be so much if you allow it to be. But, you know, it's tough, but it's a day at a time. You know, reach out, like, find that support system, whether it be in your church, whether it be in your community, whether it be in your family, it's there for you. And then when you do it together, man, when you have that crew, when you have that fam, right, it's unstoppable. So yeah, that's what I would say to the exercise practitioner.
Gotcha.
To the coach, listen, do your thing, right? Do your research, study, like, stick to the science. Don't get crazy. Don't take advice from people that you don't know their credentials. You know, it's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Sorry, Peter, but it's just right? There's so many ways that we can get to the same objective. Whether you're a vegetarian, whether you're a vegan, you know, whether you're doing CrossFit, whether you're doing functional training, we can still get you to an optimal sense of health if we follow the science, right? If we do it progressively, if we do it with health as our #1 priority, and it has to be pertaining to you, okay? So don't be stressed, right? Just have the passion and understand that you have a responsibility. So with that responsibility, you need to educate yourself. You need to listen to your clients. You need to provide the services that you know you can provide. Don't outplay your coverage. Your time will come. Okay? It's not about how many followers you have, not how many sponsors you have. It's about your connection with your clients and where you can take them where they want to be.
Right.
So
that's huge. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
No problem, brother. Thank you for having me, man.
Good things.
My support, my biggest support right now.
Absolutely. I'll tune in next time. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed yourself, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, comment and let us know what you think. I love constructive criticism, and I'm only about putting out content that you guys will enjoy. So let us know your thoughts, because we want to hear them. And drop your hometown. Where you from? We might make a visit to your favorite trainer. See y'all.